That's nasty. I feel like I'm having a stroke. I did not need 600 pages of this. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind. I can't do this. Hey, Amelia. Okay, I have to leave in like an hour, so we'll see if I can get through this book quickly, although it is like almost 600 pages long, so we'll see. If I have to stop halfway through and then you don't see me again for 2 weeks, we'll know why. HEIR of Fire. This book is insane. If you thought the last book jumped around a lot, different perspectives, different POVs, you're not even ready for this. This book has like 16 different plot threads, many of which do not feel related in any way. If I explain it in a confusing way, I'm really sorry. Just know that like, I'm trying to make this really like understandable. You won't understand how chaotic this was to read unless you read it yourself, and I would not suggest it, so save yourself a trip. This book made me realize I think I may have read these books before. I am proudly a girly who dog ears her pages. These were dog eared the whole time, and then I was reading one of the weird subplots, the witch subplot, which I will get to, and I was reading it, I was like, I've definitely read this, and that is the only part that I remember. I have genuinely no recollection of reading this other than one specific scene. So Celaena is in Wendland, and she's like, hot take, what if I don't kill the royal family? How about that? She has a new plan. One plan, however insane and unlikely, to free the enslaved kingdom. Find and obliterate the word keys the king of Aedion had used to build his terrible empire. She'd gladly destroy herself to carry it out. Just find the word keys and destroy them and save the world. Seems simple enough. So the first step of her stupid, foolish plan had been simple. Seek out Maeve, get answers on how to destroy the word keys, and then return to Aedion. Maeve is Queen Maeve of the Fae. Maeve knew everything, as was expected when you were older than dirt. So she's like hanging on top of this like a rooftop. Someone mistakes her for an unhoused person, which like she technically is, because I don't know where she's living. I don't think she has a house. But this is apparently a quote unquote new low for Celaena. Dirty clothes, stained and dusty and torn, not to mention that she smelled atrocious. This vagrant woman had mistaken her for a fellow vagrant competing for space on the streets. Well, wasn't that just wonderful? An all-time low even for her. Just like unnecessary and a little rude. Let's diss on unhoused people in the first 10 pages of this book. Why not? That's really good. Anyway, Celaena is walking down this like alleyway, and this big scary fae guy comes up. Tall, broad-shouldered, every inch of him seemingly corded with muscle. He was a male blooded with power. Ew. As if his delicately pointed ears and slightly elongated canines weren't enough to scare the living shit out of everyone in the alley, including the now whimpering madwoman behind Celaena, a wicked-looking tattoo was etched down the left side of his harsh face, the whorls of black ink stark against his sun-kissed skin. This guy, he's a fae, he's got the pointy ears, and Wendland is like the land of the fae, so this is not shocking, and she's like, he's really hot and sexy. Girl, when I tell you I would have been fearing for my life, I would have been so scared if this, like, tall, strange man with the promise of violence in his eyes was, like, staring me down. I would be frightened. And she's like, he's hot and sexy. Okay, girl, different strokes for different folks, I guess. Whatever floats your freaking boat. His name is Rowan. Turns out he's one of Maeve's soldiers. Maeve is kind of scary, like, harsh and old. And I'm sure we got some exposition about her in maybe another book, maybe this one, but I don't remember it. And Rowan has, like, a blood pact to Maeve, but we'll talk about that later. Here's some Fae lore for ya. Oh, this part made me chuckle. All Fae possessed a secondary animal form. Celaena was currently in hers, her mortal human body, as animal as the birds wheeling above. Okay, so this is hilarious to me, and let me explain to you why. Celaena's animal form is a human person. I would feel so mad. I would feel so duped. All the other Fae girlies got like to be animals, and I was a person. My animal form was a human person. My sister did rowing for a while. One year, her coach decided to give everyone their like animal that reminded him of them. One person was asparagus. Like they were like wolf, lion, eagle, dog, white asparagus. I think about that sometimes and I laugh. Just a bit of a recap in case you didn't remember the last book that we just talked about. Celaena is also called Aelin Astrover Galathenius. If you're new around here, hi, hello. I'm mad that she has another fucking name. In the first book, she had 3. She still goes by these 3 names, and now we're adding a 4th name to the mix. Too many names. I'm confused. Anyway, she has a cousin named Aedion, and he's working for the king, except for he's not. He's like a double agent, but he is working for the king, but like wink wink, you know? And Aedion has one of the friendship rings made out of the spooky stones. I feel crazy. I feel like I'm losing my mind trying to explain this. Like, this makes no sense. Aedion has a friendship ring. The friendship ring is connected to the king's friendship ring. They're all made out of the spooky word stone that controls people. Are we all on the same page? Great. Got it. Love it. So Celaena and Rowan, the sexy, scary fae, are going on an adventure to get to Maeve's, like, fae land. And this is when we get one of the new plot threads. And it is the witches. Okay, so there are witches. The main witch that we follow for this book is called Manon. This is when she's introduced. We're not going to come back to her for a while, but like keep her in your brain because the witch plot, it was my favorite plot. It was the most exciting plot to me, but like we're going to jump around a bit. I'm going to try to make it make sense, but keep Manon, keep Manon in your brain because we have some other like irrelevant plot shit to cover for the other people, and then we'll come back to the witches. Dorian is back at the castle and he hurts his hand, so he goes to one of the royal healers to get it checked out. Slay, healthcare, we love it. And the healer he sees is young and gorgeous, and I already know they're about to fall in love, and I don't like it. Her name is Sorscha, and then we cut to Sorscha's perspective, because everyone gets a POV in this goddamn book. Sarah J. Maas has no concept of brevity. Sorscha is, like, absolutely in love with the prince. Dorian was the heir to the mightiest empire in the world, and Sorscha was the daughter of 2 dead immigrants from the village in Fenharrow that had been burned to ash, a village that no one would ever remember. But that didn't stop her from loving him, as she did, invisible and secret, ever since she first laid eyes on him 6 years ago. To me, it feels a bit inappropriate for a healthcare provider to be feeling this way about a patient, but what do I know? Okay, we're back with our good pal Celaena. She and Rowan have made it to like a fortress of fae. She's trying to get to the main, like, I guess fae city. It's called Doranel. That's where she's gonna go for her mission. And this fortress is like halfway between Wendland and Doranel. Selena's like, great, we're gonna take a little break and then we're gonna get back on the road, but psych, this is actually where she's gonna meet Maeve. It wasn't the carved oak furniture or the faded green drapes or the warmth of the fire that made her stop dead. It was the dark-haired woman seated behind the desk. Maeve, queen of the fae, her aunt. Then came the words she'd been dreading for 10 years. Hello, Aelin Galathanius. We learn that Rowan and Celaena are actually distantly related. Prince Rowan, she swallowed the urge to turn towards him, is from my sister Mora's bloodline. He is my nephew of sorts and a member of my household, an extremely distant relation of yours. I feel the need to defend myself a little bit because in every single video, I feel like I bring up incest and I hate it. I dislike bringing up incest, and a lot of people have been like, you know, if you go back far enough, everyone's related. I know that. I get that. I understand that. If you go back far enough, everyone is like tangentially related. However, if you know that you're related, then it's weird. Like, what you don't know can't hurt you. If you're like a genealogy freak and like you know the names of all your distant relations and then you end up dating one and you are aware that you are related, that's fucked up. Celaena and Rowan are related, and it was explicitly stated that they were related in this book, and they both know that they come from a common ancestry. Also, you add this added layer about the fact that like their great aunts and uncles are still alive because they're all fae and their lifespan is like 1,000,000 years long. Maeve is their aunt. Basically, they're cousins. You get it? You feel it? Anyway, I hope they don't fall in love. I digress. Celaena has a rare gift, and her gift is that she can like summon and control fire, and that's a big deal. Maeve says, such a rare gift. The ability to summon and manipulate flame. So few exist who possess more than an ember of it. Fewer still who can master its wildness. So Maeve is like, you got questions for me? And Celaena is like, yes, I do have questions. Maeve is like, well, good luck, baby, because I have answers, but you have to come with me to Doranel to find out. Celaena's like, great, let's go. And then Maeve is like, not so fast. You can't just go to Doranel because only people who have proven themselves to be like worthy fae get to go to Doranel. I do not permit mortals or half-breeds into Doranel. For a half-breed to enter my realm, she must prove herself both gifted and worthy. Mistward, this fortress, which is where they are, is one of several proving grounds, and the place where those who do not pass the test can spend their days. Now we enter what is essentially a 500-page training montage. Yay! Remember our witch friend? Yeah, she's coming back. The head witch girly is called Manon. She's like the head bitch in charge. Her besties are called the 13, and they're all Blackbeaks, which is one of the 3 witch families or covens, something like that. But the other ones are the Yellowlegs, which remember Baba Yellowlegs from the second book, Blue Bloods, and then there's also like Croatian witches, which are like, I think, nice witches. I don't have time to get into that right now. I think that the evil witches hunt the good witches for sport, and that's feminism, baby. Anyway, the witches are supposed to be immortal, but they're aging. Uh-oh. And I really thought that, like, we were gonna get a big reveal about, like, why are the witches aging? But it didn't really come back. In the 10 years since magic had vanished, their aging process had warped. Manon herself was well over a century old, but until 10 years ago, she'd looked no older than 16. Now she looked to be in her mid-20s. They were aging like mortals, they had soon realized, with no small amount of panic. The witches are teaming up with the king, so we know they're about to get into some bullshit. Apparently the king has these things called wyverns, which I will henceforth be referring to as the dragons, because I don't know how to pronounce that word. And there was no pronunciation guide in this book either. The king needed someone to ride the dragons, and he was like, oh my god, the witches are perfect for this. The king needs riders, Mother Blackbeak said, still staring at the horizon. Riders for his wyverns, to be his aerial cavalry. And when we are done, when we have served him, he will let us keep the wyverns, to take our host to reclaim the waste from the mortal pigs who dwell there. So, the dragons. Let's talk about them. Manon couldn't tear her eyes away from the gorgeous beast. His mottled gray body covered in a leathery hide, his massive black legs armed with talons as big as her forearm, and his enormous wings, tipped with a claw and used to propel him forward like a front set of limbs. The tails are also, like, venomous, which is very cool. So the witches get to choose the dragons, and there's a big one called Titus, and he's, like, the biggest, scariest dragon, and Manon is like, he's the dragon for me. All you bitches are not gonna get this dragon. He is mine. All the other head witches of all the other witch families also want the biggest, scariest dragon. So there's a little bit of drama. Back with Celaena and Rowan, they're at Mistward. Celaena is helping out in the kitchen during the morning and then training her fairy powers to become worthy to go to Dorian in the afternoon. We get some exposition about fae mates. The fae had mates, an unbreakable bond deeper than marriage that lasted beyond death. Keep that in mind. Lasted beyond death. Beyond death. And in my soul, I can sense where this is going. And I hate it. I don't like it. I don't want Rowan and Celaena to fall in love. They're essentially cousins. In my heart, they're cousins. And so if they fall in love, that will be weird for me. Rowan is trying to teach Celaena how to shift on command, but it's not happening, and so he's like giving her concussions left and right, because that'll work. He's trying to force her to switch into fae form, so he takes her to like this spooky field, and he's like, cross it right now. She's like, okay, I will. So she tries to cross this field, but there's like this like creature, or like maybe a vibe, I'm a little unclear, but it makes her like remember the worst parts of her life. And so she freaks out and either pisses or shits or both her pants. And then she vomits on herself, but she makes it to the other side. Rowan is like, wow, you just vomited and pissed and shit. That was embarrassing for you. And you know what? He's right. That's a little embarrassing for her. Turns out this thing that like made Celaena freak out, Rowan thinks it was a skinwalker, but it was something else, I think. Things aren't really explained very well in this book, so I spend a lot of the time being really lost and confused. Also, all of this happened on the first day that she's in Mistward, which is very cool. She had a jam-packed first day at camp. I love it. Chaol also has a subplot in this book. I'm not going to be talking about it. I simply do not have the emotional fortitude or the mental wherewithal to discuss this man. So moving swiftly along, we will not be talking about him. Please respect my boundaries. Thank you. Okay, so it's a couple days later and it's dark out. It's only like, okay, it's 5:30, but because we're going into winter, it's literally, it looks like it's midnight, but I just got home from work and I have a second, so here we are again. So we're back with Dorian and his new love interest, Sorscha. This is medical malpractice. Let's not even get it twisted. Like, for example, she's treating him because he keeps getting injured, and she is picturing him naked while she's treating him. That is so inappropriate. She set down her basket of supplies and lost herself in the work of readying ointments and bandages. His scented soap caressed her nose, strong enough to suggest he just bathed. which was a horrible thing to think about as he stood beside his chair, because she was a professional healer, and imagining her patients naked was not, and then he cuts her off. That's weird. That's not cool. On the bright side, Dorian also finds her hot and sexy. This is a little bit later. He just, hurt his wrist. She came around the table, giving him enough time to admire the long lines of her figure in a simple gown. She moved like water, he thought, and often caught himself marveling at the way she used her hands. So, at least it's reciprocated. That's good, but still a little uncomfortable. Also, tell me why we needed this. Not everyone needs to be in a relationship. People can just exist. Not every character needs a love interest. Was his plot not exciting enough with, his whole magic thing? That's what I'm interested in. And yet, we're giving him a relationship. Because why the frick not? Being single is so valid. And also, I'm tired of learning names. Dorian also magics in front of Sorscha, and so now they have this little secret together. Back to the witches. The witches are staying in a place called the Omega, which I think is very funny. The big, final showdown that the witches have to do is navigate this thing called the crossing on their dragons, and it's a big deal because if they don't make it, they die. The beast knew what to do, the handler said. They knew how to make the crossing on instinct alone. That's what they called the sheer plunge between the two mountain peaks, the final test for a rider and the mount. If the wyverns couldn't make it, they'd splatter on the rocks far below with their riders. That's what we're ramping up to. And also, the final challenge for the witches is a fancy game of capture the flag. So that's what we're working up to. Cut back to Chaol. He's at one of Aedion's parties. I don't know if I introduced Aedion yet because this was a couple days ago, but Aedion is one of the king's men, but he's not. He's actually Celaena's cousin and childhood best friend, I think. He holds a lot of parties. Chaol is at one of Aedion's parties and he decides to follow Aedion because Aedion is definitely keeping a secret. So Chaol is following him and then he gets freaking stabbed. He doesn't actually get stabbed. He just some guy puts a dagger to him his neck or his side or something and is come with me. Turns out I think it's Aedion and his people. It's Aedion and then an old guy and then a young guy. Those are the people that we're hanging out with right now. We get some exposition about the friendship rings that the king gives to the besties and why it's not working on Aedion. Aedion goes, "The day the king presented me with the sword of Orinth, he also offered me a ring. Thanks to my heritage, my senses are sharper. I thought the ring smelled strange and knew only a fool would accept that kind of gift from him. So I had a replica made. The real one I chucked into the sea." Aedion is not actually being controlled by the king, but the king thinks that he is. And so Aedion's a bit of a double agent. It's kind of slay. I'm a little obsessed with it. He's been pretending to the king because his loyalties actually lie with Aelin, the princess, who might be dead, but she's not dead because she's actually Celaena, but that's a secret. Chaol and Aedion join forces, but on the down low. Okay, back with Celaena and Rowan. There's a lot of romantic tension. And frankly, I am scared. I feel fear in my soul about these two people because I would like to remind you that Celaena is 18, maybe freshly 19. She's young. And Rowan is... Actually, how old is he? How old is Rowan? Over 3 centuries old. Okay, so this is the Twilight age difference on crack. And also, they're cousins. I'm scared. We get a Sarah J. Maas classic. Ugh. It actually makes me want to vomit. It's so gross. Faster than lightning, his hand shot out and she gagged, jolting as he grabbed her tongue between his fingers. She bit down hard, but he didn't let go. "Say that again," he purred. I genuinely can't tell if they're flirting or if they actually hate each other. So yeah, she shifted. Good for her. So Celaena gets mad at Rowan and she runs away from the fortress. So on their trek out of the main city into the fairy fortress, Rowan had 2 rules. Rule number 1, stay away from the marked paths. And rule number 2, don't light a fire. Because he was there are creatures in this forest. They follow these paths and they are attracted to fire. So don't be an idiot. Don't light a fire and don't stay on the paths. Great. So Celaena runs away. She's trying to stay on the marked paths because she's ooh, the creepy forest. She lights a freaking fire because it's dark and she's cold. Freaking skinwalkers come and try to grab her, take her because they're attracted to the fire. 3 tall, lanky silhouettes lurked in front of her cave. Though they stood like humans, she knew deep in her bones, from some collective mortal memory, that they were not. They were not Fae either. They were skinwalkers. She's getting chased by these skinwalkers, and then Rowan comes to the rescue, and he's you gotta shift, because you're not gonna be able to run away from them in your human body, so shift to your Fae body so we can run faster. And she's I I can't. But then she does. Their plan is to jump into the river, or like maybe across the river to get away from the Skinwalkers. But the Skinwalkers are like, haha, you silly fools. That's not going to stop us. You think we're afraid of a little water? Because, side note, apparently the Skinwalkers speak English. I don't know why I pictured these Skinwalkers just speaking in like monster language, but apparently they speak English, or at least speak in a way that can be understood by Celaena, which is weird. But Celaena has firepower, so she ends up burning the Skinwalkers alive to get away from them. Celaena shuddered on the riverbank from cold and exhaustion and terror. Terror at the Skinwalkers and terror at what she'd done. His clothes dry thanks to shifting. Rowan stood a few feet away, monitoring the smoldering cliffs upriver. She'd incinerated the Skinwalkers. They hadn't even had time to scream. Good for her. She shifted. She used her power. She is free and safe from the Skinwalkers. We're going to switch gears and go back to the witches, which I'm a little tired of, but we persevere. So Manon goes into the cage with Titus. This is a bad idea because Titus is the biggest and the scariest dragon of all of the dragons. And fun fact about these dragons, they're wild animals. Manon thinks that she has like this connection with Titus. She doesn't. So she gets into this cage. Titus tries to kill her. But in the cage there is a bait dragon. It's like a small scrawny dragon that didn't make the cut to be like one of the main dragons. So they use it as bait and food for the main dragons. This little tiny scrawny little bait dragon saves Manon from Titus and kills Titus. Manon is like, this is the dragon I have to have. And so she chooses it as her mount, despite this dragon having no skills and being small and scrawny. And the bait beast growled. Manon held up a hand, and again the world stopped. Manon, eyes still upon the beast, said, "He's mine." He'd saved her life, not by coincidence, but by choice. All the witches are like laughing at her because she chose the stupidest dragon, but she calls the dragon Abraxos. So the big drama is Manon doesn't know if Abraxos will be able to do the crossing. Like, because he was a bait dragon, he's really scuffed up, like his wings, they've got rips in them. And so Manon doesn't know if his wings will be strong enough to do the crossing, which is like the big final challenge. Okay, Dorian and Chaol have a falling out. There's this bit that was so emo. I read it, I was like, this is so dramatic. But they're like mad at each other. "Dorian, please," Chaol said. "I'm doing this for you, I swear." "I don't care," Dorian said, staring them down as he walked out. "I will carry your secrets to the grave, but I want no part of them." God, it gives the same vibes as, you know, the t-shirt that's like, "He lied, she believed." Emo, like 2013 Tumblr vibes. Like, that's what that gives me. So Dorian and Chaol used to be besties. Now they're fighting. I think they're fighting because, what? Actually, I have the book right here. I can just check. Dorian is mad at Chaol because he lied to him about Celaena. So now they're not friends anymore. But also, Chaol told Aedion how to get through the castle by lurking in the hidden tunnels that Celaena got around in. And so this will be important later, I guess. Back with Celaena and Rowan. Rowan drops this little tidbit, which actually made me laugh out loud. So apparently, Celaena is emitting just such abysmal vibes that she is physically stinky to the other fae. That's why no one is hitting on her, which is amazing. That's delightful. They've all been keeping their distance because of the scent you put out. Rowan stalked through the trees, not even out of breath as he said, "There are more males than females here, and they're fairly isolated from the world. Haven't you wondered why they haven't approached you? Your scent says that you don't want to be approached. The males smelt more than the females and have been stinging the hell away." Her vibes are so bad that she is stinky. She's giving off stinky vibes. Small, tiny, little insignificant thing. Rowan and Celaena are on a bit of a mission because a bunch of people have been showing up dead and exsanguinated. There's an SAT word for you. That means drained of their blood. I think they're drained of their blood. Something like that. Just like the dead husks of bodies. Very scary. Celaena and Rowan are on the case. They're trying to figure out, what's going on. Okay, we're gonna do a speed round because I'm tired. So Aedion and Chaol and two other guys are staying in Celaena's super fancy assassin apartment. Dorian and his girl boss doctor bestie are having a little kiss moment. Fun fact about me, I have problems with it. Dorian was on his feet so fast the chair rocked behind him and had her face between his hands in a heartbeat. "Yes," he breathed and kissed her. It was fast, but her face was flush and her eyes were wide as he pulled back. Stinky vibes, stinky vibes. She looked so surprised, and if he didn't get out, he was likely to kiss her again. But maybe she didn't want to be kissed. Okay, first of all, for the love of God, I already said this, not everyone needs a romantic partner. I was really liking the platonic soulmates vibe that Dorian and Chaol had, but of course we had to go and ruin that so that Dorian could have a girlfriend. Gross. Second of all, I know that, like, you know, the kissing of people is, like, part of the, like, suspension of disbelief that is part of a lot of books. But I hate it so much. I don't dislike it all the time. You know, if the vibes are right and the vibes are like, ooh, let's kiss, great. But, like, when Dorian specifically is like, maybe she didn't want to be kissed, she looks startled. Ugh. That's gross to me. Dorian basically does nothing of importance for the rest of the book, so I'm going to leave his plot here. Can you believe we're only a third of the way through this book? We're not even halfway. We're on page 222. So Celaena has learned how to shift on command. Great, good for her. Now she's having trouble managing how much magic she uses. And so she is experiencing magical burnout. She will use like too much power and then her like insides will freak out and she will like pass out or like, you know. Some important lore for you. When the magic disappeared all those years ago, it disappeared in the shape of a triangle. 3 like spots and then like out from there. Okay, back to the witches. Manon and Abraxas make the crossing. Yay, good for them. And so now the witch coven is allowed to ride together. The coven that Manon is the head of is called the 13. They're allowed to ride together and Manon is their leader. And they're practicing for the final challenge, which is magical capture the flag. And Team Manon, they want to win badly. Like, it is their driving purpose. It is their life's goal is to win, capture the flag. And so they're practicing like all day, every day. Back to Celaena. Celaena has a bit of a diva freak out on all of her kitchen besties. And we learned that one of her kitchen besties was like friends with her mom. And so she feels bad for freaking out on him. There's this one line. So Rowan is talking with Emery's, the guy in the kitchen, and he's like, why is Celaena so weird right now? He goes, she has no hope, Prince. She has no hope left in her heart. Help her. If not for her sake, then at least for what she represents. What she could offer us all, you included. And what is that? He dared to ask. Emery's met his gaze, unflinchingly, as he whispered, a better world. It's so corny. I am a hater to my core. Really, really, truly. Rowan is helping her find hope. And here's the thing. I may just be oblivious, but earlier in the book, they made it very clear that, like, there were no romantic feelings between Rowan and Celaena. Explicitly stated multiple times. I took that at face value. I fear that I was wrong because the vibes are romance and I don't like it. Rowan and Celaena keep their training up and Rowan decides that for this next challenge, Celaena has to go into this cave that has a lake in it and save one of her besties from the kitchen. It's got the same vibes of that one challenge in that one Harry Potter book. It's the one with the competition. You know what I'm talking about. It's the 4th one. It's the 4th book. Maybe the 3rd one. Yeah, the 4th one. Anyway, it's very that coded. Rowan, who has ice powers, he freezes the lake. He's like, go rescue your besties, Celaena. Turns out there is a scary monster living in the lake. Rowan didn't know about this, and now the scary lake monster is angry because you disturbed him. As she was about to stand and help Luca navigate the way back to shore, she glanced at the ice once more. No, not the ice. The water beneath it, where a giant red eye was staring right at her. So Celaena freaks out. She's like, first of all, don't bring my friends into this. This is between you and me, Rowan. Like, you can train me, do whatever you want to me, but don't bring my loved ones into this. Second of all, what the fuck, Rowan? They, like, run out. The little creature, like, chases after them a little bit. Celaena gets a sword and it has a ring in it. Luckily, they get out of the cave, but the monster is now on the prowl. It is, like, out and about, living its life. She also punches Rowan in the face. Violence is never the answer. However, in this particular instance, I feel like it was a bit warranted because this was such a stupid move on Rowan's part. Like, not saying he deserved to be punched, but like, I will look the other way. He kind of deserved it. Oh my god, I forgot about this. So we get Rowan's tragic backstory. So he had a mate, which is like the fairy version of like a partner, a romantic partner, and it is soul connection, you know? And his mate was going to have a baby, but the baby and the mate were both killed and Rowan went into like 100-year-long depression, which same king. I'm a little confused about how the whole mate thing works because earlier in the book, they say that like the mate is a bond that lasts past death. Rowan already had a mate, but he is now putting the moves on Celaena. He's literally like, I like you more than I like my old mate, and it's crazy. Celaena is also dealing with the tragic loss of her best friend Nehemia. She is very much still in mourning. When she hears about Rowan's tragic loss, she's like, how did you get through it? How did you find your way back from that? He goes, I didn't. For a long while, I couldn't. I think I'm still not back. I might never be. And then he goes, but maybe, he said quietly enough that she looked at him again, maybe we could find our way back together. And then Celaena, and this is a couple of pages later, she didn't fail to notice how quickly they looked away when they beheld Rowan at her side, though she did catch a few females looking at him with far warmer interest, and she wanted to claw their face off for it. I'm not here for this romance. I'm literally fighting for my life over here. Everything I read promptly left my brain. I tried so hard to be engaged. Like, the thing is I really want to like this. Ugh, I just don't. I just didn't enjoy it. And that's my truth. Oh, okay, back to Aedion and Chaol. So they chat a little bit and they learn about these creepy, pale, almost human dudes that are chilling in the Eastern Dead Islands. So they're islands off the coast of Wendland. What else was happening in Wendland, off the coast of Wendland? Do we remember? Maybe those dead bodies, the dead exsanguinated bodies. Do you remember that? I don't remember if this was in this book or the last book, but back when Celaena was at the castle, she saw like that weird thing trapped behind those iron doors. It's feeling very much like that. Like, that is exactly how these things are being described. Okay, back with Rowan and Celaena. Rowan's newest and brightest idea for training is to have Celaena make the bonfires for their annual festival of the bonfire. It's because she has fire powers. I think I mentioned that. But remember how she's having these like freakouts every time she uses her power? Like, she'll use too much and then burn herself out. So she is at this party and she's like controlling the bonfires, and she has major sensory overload and freaks out, almost kills everybody. A girl boss moment, if I do say so myself. She was burning up from within. Each breath sent fire down her lungs, her veins. She couldn't move or speak. She had shoved herself over some boundary, hadn't heard the warning signs to turn back, and she was burning alive beneath her skin. Rowan sees all this happening, and he's like, oh my god, she's like actually gonna die. So he has to dunk her in an ice bath to cool her internal body temperature down. When he does that, he undresses her, and he sees her scars from when she was in the prison camp. He dead ass, not a word of a lie. I swear I would not lie to you right now. He says, he whips out the, who did this to you? I wish I was joking. I wish I was, but I'm not. Curled as she was against her knee, he could see the whole expanse of her ruined flesh, each scar from the lashings. Who did that to you? When I tell you, I screamed when I read that. Seeing all these scars on Celaena's back sends Rowan into a bit of a tailspin. He's feeling just so much rage, and for what? Honestly, like, I don't know why he's so mad. What is getting angry gonna do? Aelin had not trusted him, had not wanted him to know. Primal anger sharpened in his gut, brimming with the territorial possessive need. Not a need for her, but a need to protect. A male's duty and honor. She can take care of herself. Oh my god. And she comforts him by holding his hand. So, fun fact about me, a little bit of personal lore here. Romantically holding hands, like just like walking down the street holding a hand. Makes me want to vomit. I don't know why, but I just don't like it. I just don't like it at all. It's like the biggest ick to me. That was a tangent, and I have another tangent for you. I don't know if you can see. I have like, this is where I'm dog-eared. Now, yes, I am someone who dog-ears their pages, and I write in my books, and I like them to be loved. This is where the dog ears end. So I guess that this is where I stopped reading this book the first time I read it, but I genuinely have no recollection of doing so. I don't remember any of the first 3 books. I had, in the other 2 books, my pages were dog-eared as well. Like, you can see where the little fold is. But, like, I don't remember reading it. I'm, like, a little obsessed with the fact that, like, this series had so little of an impact on me personally. Okay, so there's some lore. So we're back with Celaena. She's burnt out. It's crazy. There is a thing called, and I'm going to mispronounce this, please don't laugh, Caranam. Caranam? We're gonna go with Caranam. I'm not, like, super sure what it is. In Rowan's own words, it's hard to explain. But it's like, you, like, do a soul tie with a person who has, like, a compatible Caranam, and they fill up your magic cup, like save you from burnout. When you're drained, your Caranam can yield their power to you, as long as you're compatible and actively sharing a blood connection. Your Caranam is the person who you're compatible with, I think. So if you, like, share blood connection, they are able to use their own power from your power source. And there's no way to know if you're compatible with someone until you try. Oh, yeah, so we just we just have Celaena's 19th birthday. So she's been 18 this whole time. Let us remember, Rowan is 300 years old. So the creepy white monster guys, Rowan and Celaena go on a little adventure, I think. In the spirit of complete honesty, I did not remember this part happening. I think I just like read this part specifically like quite late at night and I didn't retain any of it. So I'm going based off of my notes. So they go on their little adventure to hunt the white monster guys. A couple of moments of me fighting for my life during this. Rowan slung his shirt over his head to get the weapon strapped beneath, revealing his broad back, muscled and scarred, and glorious. Fine. Some very feminine, innate part of her appreciated that. And she didn't mind his half-nakedness. He'd seen every inch of her now. She supposed there was no part of him that would be much of a surprise, either thanks to Chaol. She's talking about his penis. Oh my god. Anyway, like, this is happening while they're fighting. She's like, I'm fighting for my life. Let me think about dicks. What? Anyway, they find out that there's actually, like, a big army of these creepy white monster guys. They're under the command of someone called General Narok. The soldiers all look highly trained, but they keep well away from these creatures. The creatures look like men, but aren't. Whatever dwells inside their skin is disgusting, isn't even the right word. There's a murder? I don't remember this part. Right. Okay. So life goes on as usual for a little bit. Then Celaena learns that there was an uprising in Calaculla, which is the, like, other slave labor camp. The other prison labor camp. The king of Aedion sent 2 legions to get the slaves under control and killed them all. Once he got word of the uprising in Elway, the king of Aedion sent 2 other legions north. None were spared in Endovir. First of all, these people did nothing wrong. Presumably, they were mostly just people that the king didn't like. But also, Nehemia's dying wish for Celaena was to free the people in these prison camps. So Celaena is like, well, now I'll never be able to fulfill my best friend's dying wish. Because of everything that's happening, Rowan and the Fae are pretty sure that they're going to have to go to war. So they ask Wendlyn for reinforcements, but they didn't send any. So it's just the Fae. They're prepping for war. And Rowan pulls Celaena aside and he's like, listen, get out. This is not your thing. This is not your war. Like, I will give you all the information you need. Just, like, leave here. She's like, no, I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna fight. You're losing sight of the goal here, babe. You're gonna get the information you need. He's offering it to you. I respect it. I do. But, like, I feel that your energy would be better served finishing your end goal and defeating the king, which I think is the whole point. They can fight the battles while you win the war type of vibe, you know? But no, she decides to stay. Rowan and Celaena telepathically communicate about it for a bit, which I guess is something that they can do. And they just randomly have conversations that are only in thoughts. Great. I love it. This is so normal. She's like, I'm gonna stay. He's like, what changed your mind? And she's like, some things are worth the risk, but in her brain. And then out loud, she goes, I claim you, Rowan Whitehorn. I don't care what you say or how much you protest. I claim you as my friend. I'm just wanting to check in again. As a bestie, right? Friendship vibes only. Right? The Fae people are working to protect their little village. Rowan has some friends who also come and help. And Celaena has a fight with these things called the Valg? The way I read it first is Valg. I need a pronunciation guide. So she has a fight with the Valg, who are dark princes of another realm, essentially. There's 3 of them. And she doesn't do very well in this fight, and she is very quickly overpowered, and she is kidnapped by the evil darkness princes. The power that these princes have is to, like, conjure up your worst memory, I guess. We get a flashback. We get, like, a several-page-long flashback. Celaena and Dorian actually met when they were younger, when they were kids, and they have a cutie little bestie moment, but the king is really mean to her, and he, like, triggers her into having, like, a magic flare-up. This is a very traumatic memory for her, which is why the dark princes bring it up to her. So she's having this flashback. She sort of comes to in the Prince of Darkness cave thing, I guess. All of her memories, like, cheer her on to get up. I don't even know how to explain this. Her cheek was against the moss. The young princess she had been, Aelin Galathanis, reached a hand for her. Get up, she said softly. Get up, someone said beyond the young princess. Sam standing just beyond where she could see, smiling faintly. Get up, said another voice, a woman's, Nehemia. Get up. 2 voices together, her mother and father, faces grave, but eyes bright. In my notes, I wrote, it's giving, I am Radio Rebel.
I'm Radio Rebel.
Rowan can telepathically tell that Celaena is alive, but like doing very badly. He can tell this because they are bonded. They're bonded. He knew Aelin was alive because during all these weeks that they had been breathing each other's scent, they had become bonded. And then he goes, that's why Gavriel and Lorcan, his besties, were holding him back. If they didn't, he would run for the darkness where Lyria beckoned. I think Lyria is his old girlfriend, the one who died. If it is his old girlfriend, which I do not recall if it is, this means he likes Celaena more than he likes her. Rowan comes by to go save her, but she already has hope now from her little flashback moment. Two creatures lunged for her, the darkness sweeping in around them. Rowan ran all of one step before she flung her arms out, grabbing the creatures by their flawless faces, her palms over their open mouths, and she exhaled sharply. Flames shot out of their eyes, their ears, and their fingers. So she kills the little guys with her fire magic. Very good, very nice, very cool. Remember these towers? They're really important. They are where, like, I guess they're part of where the king's power is coming from. The king has 2 of the 3 word keys. And Celaena, Lightbulb, knows where the third one is. Or she knows vaguely what happened to it. She knew where it was, the third and final word key. It had been around her neck the night she fell into the river. Because, like, the word keys, they're magic. They protect you a little bit. The night that her parents were killed, she fell into this river, and she should have died. But she had the word key around her neck, and so it, like, delivered her safely to shore when she was found on the riverbank by the assassin trainer guy, Arobin Hamel. He has it now. Arobin Hamel had taken it from her and kept it all these years, a prize whose power he had never guessed the depth of. So I'm assuming that in the next book we meet this famous Arobin Hamel who we've been hearing about for the past 3 books. This might be very bad because I think he might be a bad guy. Okay, so after all of this, remember the reason this whole thing, the whole training sequence happened was because Celaena needed to prove to Maeve that she was fey enough to go into Doranel, which is the fairy city. She knows how to control her magic and she knows how to shift on command. So Maeve is like, I will answer your question. Turns out Maeve knows absolutely nothing. So say it with me, folks. The whole book was pointless. We ended exactly where we started. At least we got some character development in there, I hope. Maeve does tell her something. She tells her the word keys cannot be destroyed. They can only be put back in the gate, which Celaena already knew. So again, pointless, but like at least she gets confirmation. Now let's play my favorite game. Why did this sentence make Ainsley mad? This is a flashback. The chanting increased and the amulet bounced between her breasts with each step. That wasn't necessary. That didn't need to be said. So Celaena and Maeve are having this little meeting. Fun fact about Rowan. Rowan is bound to Maeve with a blood oath. Celaena makes this trade with Maeve for Rowan's freedom from the blood oath. I don't remember how Celaena got, like, some bargaining power. Like, she has nothing to give, I think. Regardless, Maeve frees Rowan from his blood oath. Rowan decides that he wants to be blood oathed to Celaena. So they do that. That involves him drinking her blood. With surprising gentleness, he took her wrist in his hand and lowered his mouth to her skin. For a heartbeat, something lightning bright snapped through her and settled, a thread binding them, tighter and tighter with each pull Rowan took of her blood. Ugh. 3 mouthfuls, his canines pricking against her skin. Then he lifted his head, his lips shining with her blood, his eyes glittering and alive and full of steel. That's nasty! But now he's blood oathed to Celaena because they're bonded. I don't know if that means, like, they're mates now, too. I hope not. We are going to speedrun the end because I am #tired. The witches play their game of capture the flag. They're playing capture the flag, and then one of Manon's girlies, her dragon is injured. The dragon starts to fall, and so Manon decides, like, I can either win capture the flag or save my friend. She decides to save her friend, and they end up winning capture the flag. Remember, Dorian's healer girlfriend. Turns out she's a spy, so the king beheads her. The king also tries to kill Chaol because he gives a speech that's like, you will be defeated. There's a queen in the north and she's gonna defeat you and she will defeat you until you are dead. The king is like, that's treason. Kill him as well. For some reason, the manner in which he is to be killed is one of the guards fires a crossbow at Chaol, and the arrow comes at him, and then it stops, and then it falls to the ground and shatters to a million pieces. And that is because Dorian was like, no, and he saves his best friend. They're besties again. Dorian and Chaol have this bestie moment, and then Dorian gets the fuck out of there. The king is like, oh, well, Dorian, look at that. You got magic in you. So he takes one of those wordstone collars to control people, puts one around Dorian's neck. Dorian is now a slave to the king. That is very bad. And then Celaena lays her entire plan for the next book out. She would retrieve the first word key from Erebin and track down the others, and then find a way to put the word keys back in their gate. She would free magic and destroy the king and save her people. I don't even have to read the next book. I know exactly what happens just right there. I am never, ever reading another Throne of Glass book ever again. Anyway, let's do some final thoughts. Thank God, freaking finally. I don't think I have any final thoughts. No, I do. I didn't like these books. That is not to say that if you did enjoy these books, you are wrong or stupid. Like, people are allowed to like what they like. The writing just isn't my favorite. The characters aren't my favorite. As always, there is a suggestion box down below. Also, sorry for not posting in a while. I'm a full-time student. Peace and love. I have already started the script for my next one, but don't get your hopes up. It might take a while. I have Goodreads and an Instagram if you want to keep up with me between videos. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.